There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food to feed the whole world square. Agriculture is the key. There's treasure in the trees. The time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. This is our nation, this is our land. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here. There are 200 billion dreams. Anyone of this is able to begin a spark and change the world. There's innovation everywhere, from Abba to Ife to Kaduna. The land is green, the wealth is here. Yeah, this is our nation, this is our land. Yeah. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here.
If you take a look around from the north to south, there are opportunities to make it here. But if all you ever dream is to go overseas, tell me how you'll ever know that wealth is here. Oh, yeah, oh.
This is our nation, this is our land. Oh, Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here. So pass on the baton, pass on the torch. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, the wealth is here. Oh yeah. So this is our nation, this is our land. Oh yeah. Nigeria is ours. We have everything we need. If we could only see, the time is now, the land is green, wealth is here.
What sector has enough potential to cater for the growing population in Nigeria? What sector is bubbling with diverse and profitable opportunities? What sector can enhance the Nigerian economy and propel you to thrive? How can you tap into this sector? Be a part of the Business of Agriculture Masterclass, coming up from the 5th to 7th of July 2021. 3 days, 9 sessions, 15 speakers, and 7 value chains. Tap into profitable opportunities in agriculture, build wealth, achieve financial freedom. Visit www.businessofagriculture.org and register for the free Business of Agriculture Masterclass, designed to make you think Agric. This is brought to you by the Private Sector Advisory Group of the UNSDG Fund.
Yes. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to the Business of Agriculture Masterclass. My name is Akin Alabi. I'm an author and also the co-founder at Corporate Farmers International. Welcome everybody to the Business of Agriculture Masterclass. Now, this session specifically is one of the most unique sessions out of the entire masterclass that drills down on the business of agriculture technology. That means we'll be drilling down on what Agritech means and also how technology has been able to drive down and also help develop and build the agri sector effectively. We're going to be having quite wonderful and fantastic panelists in this today's session, as I'll be moderating the session, that will explain extensively and also how technology has been able to drive the agri sector. We know last year COVID struck the entire sector, and one of the major sectors that was affected is the agri sector. Then the question is, how have we been able to use technology to further drive the agri sector? And these are questions that we'll be asking our panelists today. And we have awesome and fantastic panelists from different areas of the agri ecosystem that are discussing today's session with us. Also, the food systems is also affected, but definitely we believe that technology is the only tool that we can use to effectively drive agriculture today in Nigeria. And also we're looking at opportunities, markets, and also investment opportunities across the agri-technology sector. Many of you are actually familiar with my face. You know that I authored the book sometimes earlier this year on technology and digital agriculture, and how effective and that has been able to drive agriculture in today's economy. These and many more is what we'll be explaining today or discussing today in the Business of Agriculture Masterclass. And I want to say a very big thank you to the organizers. This is wonderful. And I'm very sure that today we're going to have a fantastic session to discuss extensively on what agriculture technology is all about. So before we start, we're going to go on a very short break before we go for the primer session that will be taken by one of our panelists. We're going to go on a very, very short break so that we can also hear from the organizers before we now move into the primer session, where we'll be having one of the moderators that will be taking us through a discussion on technology. So can we have the brief Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. So now we're bringing to you one of the well-respected gentlemen that has been very active in the agri sector. On this discussion, I'm going to bring in Mr. Femi Adekoya, who we also know as Femi Farmer. He'll be taking us an overview of the business of agricultural technology. I know he has a slide to present for us, but let me quickly put it through on who Femi is. Femi actually is a drone pilot and also is one of the few respected agri-tech experts that has taken or transformed the Nigerian agricultural system today in Nigeria. Femi also is a drone strategist and also led the flight operations at Integrated Aerial Precision and a drone service provider. Trust me, Femi is one of the big boys today talking about technology in agriculture. Femi, please, we're going to put us through the entire guide on the business of agriculture via the slide we have at this primer session, so we can understand, so that our guests can also understand what it is when we're talking about the business of agricultural technology. So Femi, please, over to you now.
All right, thank you very much, Akin. I'm really, really pleased to be on this platform sharing my passion and my strong interest in agricultural innovation. So let's establish this, as Akin has mentioned, that the purpose of this is to drive you to think about agriculture and more specifically to agri-tech, agricultural technology. So speaking to this slide, and so tech means it's just an abbreviation of agricultural technology, as I've been emphasizing. Okay. Am I still on? Please confirm that with me. All right. So Agritech is an abbreviation of agricultural technology. And so it just simply means the application, engagement, or the use of various technology in agriculture and other related fields. When I mean other related field, I could talk about horticulture, I could talk about forestry, aquaculture, and the like. So every enterprise that gears towards food production and what makes it available. So and for the sole purpose of improving yield, all right, also increasing the efficiency of farmer or the or farm efficiency, and most importantly, because we are in this for the profit, and that's why you're here to talk about business. So Agritech also improves the profitability of agribusiness. So the why Agritech? Why the buzz around it or something like that? The fact is that the goal of Agritech, the goal of technology in agriculture, is to bring solution, one or more solutions to the challenges that we face in agriculture, or into the process or our workflow. So that's what Agritech is doing. That is why we need Agritech. And from my findings, I saw that the market is about it's close to $50 billion, and I estimate that this will be more in the next coming years. Over the decade, it's going to be more and way more. And hopefully, because we have youth teaming up into the adoption and coming into the space, this will be way more. So Agritech provides a relatively large value chain or ecosystem, as a case, as you want to call it, from product development. And when I mean product development, from research to development to manufacturing, now down to distribution of this technology, down to the extension or the sales, the marketing, and service provision. You know, we have a lot of service providers. For example, I'm a service provider, I'm a drone service provider. So that's just the value chain. It's just so wide that that you can find your niche within this and make business out of it. So let me get to the next slide. So now it's quite difficult for me to classify or segmentize the business of Agritech, kind of, but I would just have to mention these few highlights of mine. So to just give you an overview of the types of Agritech business that we have. Those in agricultural mechanization, we talk of tractors, we talk of heavy duty machines, and even not only about heavy duty machines, little implements that smallholder farmers can use, wheeled tractors or handheld tractors. We talk about agricultural financial solutions. I know some organizations or enterprise that are also doing this. I know IO is here, Tribe Agric. They also provide that for farmers, smallholder farmers in particular. Okay, we have food service technology. We all understand that. Let's take for tomato, for example. We are second largest producer in Africa, but yet we have not yet met our local production, our local demand rather. So our local production is nowhere near the demand, and even from the production, we have been losing a whole lot. So there's a technology called food service technology that could help us service this, and I'd like you to look into that. Okay, we also have novel food production or processing, I would say. We have different technology coming up to help us give us alternative foods. Well, this is new, but you like to know foods are produced in the laboratory right now, and the likes, and also novel food production like hydroponics, aeroponics, and various innovative way of producing food or urban agriculture. We also have agri-commerce and mobility, you know, logistics, as the case may be. So that's very, very important. You could also look into that. And talking about digital agriculture, this is kind of ambiguous, but platforms that agriculture business that provides that brings digital transformation, into agriculture. Sensors, they are companies that provide sensors that can be able to help you to measure activities, measure a lot of resources, and give you hands-on data that will help you make decisions. We also have agrochemical companies. It's like we cannot do without them, as it is. So you could also look into that. And also talking about biotechnology. Biotechnology is also a very big field, from seed production, seed technology to to various biotechnology, talking about biological technologies. So next slide. Now, let's quickly talk around the benefit and impact of agri-tech in Nigeria. Okay, there are a whole lot of benefits and merits of that agri-tech brings into the agricultural landscape in Nigeria, and I'd like to mention some of them. Number one, that's improved farm productivity. Yes, improved farm productivity. It has been estimated that when agri-tech products or services that is being engaged well in agricultural enterprise, people have 200% production. I mean, increase in yield. And also talking about alleviation of poverty, we know that clearly 3% of the population of Nigeria are involved in agriculture, and smallholder farmers produce majority of our foods. So, and yet they're not, we cannot say they are really economically empowered, but with agri-tech, they can be empowered, and they are taking away from poverty into the pool of wealth that we talk about, and we are going to talk more about in this section. Also, with facilitation of market linkage for smallholder farmers, that's a very viable solution through agri-tech. You know, we have the likes of Tribe Agric and many others that are connecting farmers with markets, you know, and the hassle of getting a market is gone. And also, the return on investment is so encouraging. Yeah, it is still encouraging. This is just an estimate. 100% is just an estimate. You get a lot more, and depending on scale too, we have to also look at that. And talking about economic growth, individuals, local level, and also national level, we could, and just like Akin has also mentioned about his research in Canada, you know, economic growth to the country of Canada, and I know that is also possible in Nigeria. And lastly, we talk about, I would like to highlight on sustainable production and consumption. This is what agri-tech brings to you: precision agriculture, smart agriculture, no wastage. You know, that's sustainable production where you are able to use the resources efficiently and also consume them without wasting. So I look forward for us to really expand on this and get you more, your appetite, and get you really into the business of agri-tech. Thank you.
Very much, Femi. Thank you very much, Femi. What a fantastic insight about what technology in agriculture is all about. I'm very sure that our participants have taken quite a good note of what you've presented during that session. And I'm very sure that you've actually whet most of our appetite to know, you know, what technology of agriculture is all about. Basically, something you mentioned also gave me some intrigue is also when you said the value of agriculture is worth $50 billion. Wow, that's hope. So it means that we need to create opportunities and also the market and also an investment platform so that we can have those young agripreneurs, young folks that can tap in effectively into what technology in agriculture is all about. And also to help us drill further into that discussion, we'll be going straight down into the panel session, and also to help us appreciate what Femi just talked about, is to help us, you know, understand what area, as I mentioned a whole lot, from detail agriculture, the drone services, how it affect the sector, precision agriculture, big data, and what have you. So we have panelists on ground that will be discussing elaborately on all what Femi just narrated in the session. So without much ado, I will be introducing our beautiful panelists to come on board. First of all, I'll be introducing, okay, before we go there, I'm going to have a transition video before we go into the introducing our panelists. I'm sorry. So let's have that transition video. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Once again, my name is Akin Alabi. So now it's time for the discussion, time to learn, and also time to understand what the business of agricultural technology is all about. So first on the panel session that I'll be bringing on board today is one of the amazing young folks that have done a lot in the Agric sector. So first on the list today is Mr. Humphrey Otalor. Mr. Humphrey Otalor. Now, I'm going to introduce you Mr. Humphrey Otalor. He's a very good friend of mine in the Agric space for over a long time, years ago. Mr. Humphrey Otalor is the marketing communication manager at Dizengoff, Nigeria. He's also providing strategic marketing and communication in directing the Nigerian operations at Dizengoff. Mr. Otalor is also one of the major key decision makers when it comes to Agric and its communication today in Nigeria. So if you want to know more about, Mr. Otalor, kindly go into the website and read about him and see how he has been able to effectively add value and also positively affect other young agripreneurs in the agri sector today. Thank you very much, Mr. Humphrey, for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Thank you very much, Akin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a privilege to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So the next person I'll be calling on right now we're going to add up is Arikawe. Sorry, if I'm not pronouncing the surname very well, but Ayo. Ayo is a partner at Agric. And Agric today we know as an organization that had also been very influential in the agri ecosystem. And Ayo is one of the major key players in building a company that has lasted, over the years in the agri ecosystem. And also Agric as a company, which Ayo is one of the major co-founders, has been able to change the narrative in agri technology, agri-tech space today in Nigeria and Africa as it is. So if you want to know much about who Ayo is, please also go into the website and read extensively on what Ayo has done and also what this company at Agric has done in building the Agric ecosystem. Once again, Ayo, welcome to this panel session. Can you hear me, Ayo?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Glad to be here. Thanks,
Great.
Akin.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Ayo. Now, the next panelist I'll be adding on board is the fantastic gentleman that did the primer session with us. That is Femi Farmer. Femi, welcome back. Femi is one of the Femi is one of the most respected drone pilots that I know, and also has actually influenced a lot of young agripreneurs, even within the school campuses, those who are interested to build the agri ecosystem. Femi is one of the young few folks that I know that has changed the narrative of what agri-tech is all about. Most times when I go into his pages and I see what he has done, I'm always amazed. I said, look, Femi needs to create thousands of himself into the new, what I call new agricultural talents that can help change the narrative of this country and also the agri sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this session. I'm always glad to have you, and I'm always excited to have beautiful minds to talk about digital agricultural technology, and how best we can broaden and shaping the narrative of what technology in agriculture is all about. Now, our discussion today is going to be dragged into three major factors. We're going to identify several potential cases in agricultural technology. We're also going to understand the investment part of it, and also we're going to also put together what is required to, let's say, to start up an agri-tech hub, or let's say what's going to help change our agricultural sector as a whole. So it's going to be quite deep this morning, so that our guests or our participants, who are listening to us can take something home. And at the end of the session, what we want to derive at is be able to say, yes, we have awesome people that can help change agricultural narrative today in Nigeria and in Africa at large. So once again, I want to say welcome on board. And to those who are listening or just joining us, my name is Akin Alabi, and I'll be moderating the session for this morning. Now, I'm going to start with Humphrey, in asking the question. Humphrey, you've been in this industry for for a large number of years, as in a very large number of years. Way back, I've known you, adding value to the sector. So I'm going to ask you this very, very, very strategic question. Now, in what way does agri-technology really affect the agricultural sector from the area of mechanization, digital agriculture, and also production to processing? So in what way do you think basically that agri-tech can actually affect this industry in those areas I just mentioned to you? Humphrey, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Akin Alabi. Thank you so much for this opportunity, for the organizers, for giving us this platform to share ideas and also share ideas and as well learn from each other. Thank you once again. But we'll just quickly go straight to business, talking about how technology has impacted this area. So first and foremost, I would like to draw some keyword from what when Femi was making his presentation, and I was talking about Agtech, and he was looking at talking about yield in terms of improved yield, talking about efficiency, and of course, for every farmer, the bottom line is profitability. So those for me, those three keywords are very, very important to have in mind while you talk about these things that you have brought before me right now. So when we talk of agricultural technology, or as we abbreviate and say agri-tech, we also need to look at it from two perspectives. When you bring technology to agriculture, you're looking at it from both the software and the hardware. When you talk of tractors and mechanization, then you're talking of hardware. You're talking of how do you deploy these technologies, how do you deploy these machineries to the field. Gone are the days some 20 years back where we would definitely want to use our hoe and cutlasses to want to go into the farm and cultivate. And then when you come back, you're so tired, and then you look at your profitability or you look at your returns, and then you're worried and you're concerned because with so much effort that you have put in, how come this is what you're able to realize? But technology coming into agriculture to ensure that you do little in terms of manpower, because this technology will be driving the process and ensuring that it is done efficiently. And that's why I remember those keywords. And at the end of the day, to ensure that there's bottom line, which is the profitability side of the agri side of the business. And so when you talk of mechanization or technology or machineries, then you're looking at how accessible are these machineries to these farmers? How accessible can they get it? How accessible farmers can get this technology? Then you talk of production. How many of them know the know-how? Because again, you can give machineries or you can give tractors or what have you, or handheld machineries for them to go into the field. But how many of these farmers are equipped or are trained to be able to use this technology to achieve their aim, to be more efficient and to achieve profitability, or achieve the yield that they are looking at? So those are also critical aspects. So again, you need to look at and you need to look at how do you train these farmers. That's why for us at this angle, when we run our machinery business, we're also looking at it from not just selling this machinery or giving these machineries to farmers, but also ensure that there's operators training to ensure that these farmers know how to use these machineries, know how to use this equipment to the best of their ability, and to as well get more yield. And then, of course, that will translate into profitability. Storage is one area where we're beginning to look into as a not all side of the business, not all facets of the business in terms of agriculture has their own storage facility. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, for example, the guys producing tomatoes, for example, how do they store? And so that's why you have so much between farm to market. What is the time span? How do they store so that they ensure that there's continuity, or they go back to the market if they're not able to sell today? Can they sell tomorrow? So storage is a big issue, is a big concern. And so that's why those people like Femi, people like Arikawe are looking at ways to come up with technology that will help farmers improve not only the technology in the terms of production, but also technology in terms of storage. And so there are a couple of people coming up with different ideas, borrowing from what we're seeing from places like Netherlands, places like Brazil, places like Israel, where they're able to store all of these things in terms of storage and having a good storage facility. So yes, we know the silos, all of that is given, but what about the smallholder farmers? Are they able to access storage facility? Because to set up a 50 metric tons, I'm just playing with words, 50 metric tons of silo for maize, for grains, you know what that will cost. Now you have a farmer who's operating on it, say 10 hectares, for example, of vegetables, and then how is he able to store, because it's time for harvest, and so he's at the mercy of the middleman or the mercy of the market, because he's not able to store properly and he's not able to convert those produce if per chance they are going out of before they get spoiled, convert them into other sorts of food for him to resell. So those are very another area we're looking at in terms of concern. How do we help farmers in area of storage? Because as we have it now, what we do is they store them in the refrigerator, store them in what do you have it? Store them in places like cool environments, open air, and all of that. But again, people are thinking, people are working and coming up with storage facility. But in terms of machineries and technology that you can use, they are beginning to get available to farmers. However, the concern will be costs. Are they able to manage it? Are they able to own it? If not, are they able to rent? That's also another aspect to look at it. But in production, how many of them are able to use this device even when it's been given to them, or when people provide this machineries for them, or this device or this technology to them, are they able to use them? Again, that's where the aspect of training and retraining when you come up with these solutions so that's one area we also look at. But one critical part is then the storage, because if you're not able to sell today, you're not able to take to the market today, tomorrow, how am I able to store all of those things? So
thank you. Humphrey, thank you very much for that quick drilling down. I really enjoyed that brief. But something you said actually caught my attention. You said technology can be broken down into two. You said soft and hard. Yes. Soft. Now that a little bit got me to ask a couple of questions. So I'm going to throw the next question basically now to Ayo. Ayo, from what Humphrey just said now, I'm going to throw these questions to you, this particular question to you. Now, how do we now identify the appropriate agri-tech opportunity we can venture into? He has said it is in soft version and also hard version, meaning that it can be virtual, it can also be physical. So how do we now identify? I want to go into our tech industry. How do I identify which one suits me based on the growth of the agricultural sector in the country I am in now currently? Which one? How do I identify it and properly play my position for effective investment? So Femi, over to you. How, please?
Just to be sure, you had said Ayo than Femi.
Sorry. I apologize. Ayo, I mean. Ayo. I was trying. Okay. Ayo, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Ayo.
No worries at all. Thank you for that, Akin, and thanks, Humphrey and Femi. Being quite useful, learning a lot from you guys. I think definitely opportunities come from trying to solve problems, right? So the question is, you look through the sector and say, what's a low-hanging fruit? Where can I bring up a solution? And I'll give something as basic. Today we work with almost about 2,000 field officers across our areas of locations, and it's as basic as if you have a mobile phone, you can come on board. And basic things like being able to help us with onboarding farmers, registering farmers, giving them a psychometric test, helping them to map out their farmland, anything. And in our case, we would even give you a loan to get a bike and a phone to come on board as a field officer. And I don't think we're the only ones working in that sector. So there are probably a couple of people that you can engage. So the question is, farmers need access to advice, need access to extension service. How can you provide that as a service to them? How can you help them figure out what's going on their farms? How can you help them map their land? And even technology is getting really easier. So previously you'd have to buy a GPS device, but today you can program a smartphone to do that. And then you can charge that as a service to farmers, because when they are either applying for a loan or doing different things, they need to know what the size of their land is. Basic things like farmers need access to inputs, things like seeds, fertilizers, chemicals, crop protection products. So the question is, can you find a community that accesses a barrier? And then in those communities, you will ideally find that farmers have to go through like different orders. There's probably like exchange between the farmer and the end user. So if you go into a community like that and you can aggregate farmers together, say you got 1,000 farmers who wanted to buy urea, then the meaning is you can probably either interact directly with a urea provider like a Notori or Indorama because of the strength of your demand, which the farmer is not able to, or even like a big supplier in this case. And based off that, you're able to give the farmers value, meaning you can go straight from the supplier to their doorstep, and you can get a margin for doing that and still be able to provide it way cheaper than they will get it in their community. And just give an example. So we had done a project in partnership with TechnoServe with tomato farmers sometime in 2018. I'm not sure what the total number of farmers were in that scenario. But because we're able to aggregate that demand and then get the seeds to them, it was still somewhere close to 50% cheaper than it was in their communities. And you can imagine you just deciding to take a 10% spread on that. Sometimes you can still offer the farmers 40% value. And then obviously, even in terms of sales again, in terms of throughout the entire process, farmers have access to things like tractor service. They need to harrow, they need to plow their land. What do the opportunities look like there? And there are tons. The number of farmers is 42 million. 32 million in Nigeria. It's a lot. The numbers go back and forth, but I think the lowest I've heard is somewhere close to like 30 million. So the opportunity is large. And even our tribe, where we think we work with the largest number of farmers, we are just somewhere a little over 200,000 farmers. So there's still like wide opportunities for everyone to service. On the harvesting end also, when we work with farmers during harvest, we're working with farmers on things like, we work with a lot of threshing providers. So last year during our harvest season, we worked with probably like 500 threshing providers, and it was still scarce, right? So the question is, I can guarantee if you come with a thresher to any of our communities in the north today, I can give you a job, right? I can give you access to a farmer-based service because they need to help them thresh their maize. We needed access to people with logistics. So these are people with like small trucks that can go pick up the maize from the farmers to our warehouses. And it's a very interesting thing because we operate a very interesting model where we put warehouses close to farmers. And so it's not even like we're telling you to go from Ikara to Kaduna town. It's just from one place in Ikara to another place in Ikara. And then just finding somebody with a small 7-ton truck to make that transit is difficult. We have about 300 warehouses today, spread across communities. And I can guarantee if you are willing to invest in a logistics business, I can give you an opportunity. But that's a need that we have. So everything from threshing to logistics, even basic things like weighing. Can you put up a scale and a moisture meter in your community, and you help farmers say, you know what, I'll help you scale your goods so that if a buyer is coming to you, you can know the right price to give to him. I can help you check your moisture quality. So if somebody comes to tell you your product is grade 3, you can actually tell him, no, my moisture is less than 5%, so this is a grade 1 product. So those are some of the things, opportunities you can look at. So I think the approach would be, what's the problem that smallholder farmers? I can speak from the concept of smaller farmers. I'm guessing a couple of people here can speak on the concept of commercial farmers and just those challenges. But definitely everything from providing extension service to access to inputs, to helping them sell their produce, and everything in between. There's like tons and tons of opportunities. So find a problem, and as I said, even in our case, as small as just having a smartphone, and we would even give you the loan to get a smartphone, right? That's you getting started on the work.
Great. Thank you very much, Ayo. Quite insightful. Now, quick one there. Now, I'm going to give you a simple scenario. I'm going to you now, Femi. Now, we're working on a farm currently, a well-structured farm, somewhere in Kwara, J6 Farms. We're working on about 100 hectares, and we're trying to adapt technology into that farm. Now, from what Ayo just said, he has explained some some challenges, basically, some what they faced, when they're working on tomato projects and all that. So Femi, I want to ask you a simple question. What are the dominant key challenges that are being faced by, let's say, agri-tech players or possible investors in the agri-tech sector? Basically, what are the key dominant challenges? Because I know that you have gone far and wide. You've done your drone services across several farms across the country, and I'm sure that you've seen some challenges, basically, either in terms of education, understanding, or the effectability of what those areas are. So, explain to us specifically what are the key challenges that are being faced in the agri-tech sector, please.
Okay, thank you. I think from my experience and my understanding, I know there are a lot of challenges, and that's why Agritech is there to solve problems. But there are still challenges, and that's where the money is. So number one, the adoption rate or the awareness. For example, in terms of drone services or something like that, and many other technologies. The awareness is not really there, and that's why I can say about 70% of what I do at IAP is mostly awareness and demonstrations, again, proving that this thing works, like this is what you're going to get from drone data, and also possibly spraying and the likes. So the awareness is one of the challenge. So we need to push the awareness of technology to farmers, and so that they can be able to relate with it. And when they are aware of the prospect, the benefits, the merits that this thing brings to them, and they can quantify it, okay, then there will be adoption. And then from adoption, we can have the growth of the industry. Okay, and another challenge is, I think, our smallholder style of farming, it's a bit of challenge too. It's a bit of challenge, and it's not just smallholder in the recent, but the scatteredness, how they are dispersed around. Okay, does not allow us to pose a challenge to us in terms of data gathering, in terms of looking at, okay, if I go to this farm, is it a good business case? Are we not going to spend all our money on logistics? Just trying to look out to these farmers on their farms as a team. So that's scatteredness, and I think it could be solved when farmers come together. And I'm happy that this is what Tribe Agric is also doing, aggregating these farmers together and providing them at scale, solutions at scale, and which that makes a very good business case, because you can be able to have and also enjoy. The farmers can enjoy from benefit of we call it economies of scale. So that's that said, and another challenge that I think is affecting the agri-tech industry is regulation. Yes, it's not every agri-tech is regulated really, but I would say there are levels of regulations. But take, for example, drone technology in particular, it is regulated. There are still skepticisms, there are still setbacks in terms of, and one regulation to fit all industry. You cannot use the same regulation in surveying or in any other industry, telecommunication, the use case of drones in agriculture. It does not. It's like we are trying to tell a fish to climb a tree. Something that kind of scenario. So and climate change. Well, yeah. Climate change too is there, but I will also say that agri-tech is also coming in to solve that problem, to help farmers to be able to adapt and also mitigate the effect of climate change. So, okay, I think that says a lot about the challenges that we face, and also, yeah, at least more importantly and very, very important for me, funding. Funding is also another challenge. Funding. You definitely need funds to scale agri-tech. This is technology. It is capital intensive. If you really want to make business, you only want to enjoy the profit and the time invested in it, you really need funds to also back it up. Funds are not only funds for business, but also funds for research, because that is where we are going to improve. That's where we're going to improve the efficiency that we promise to the farmers, the yield that we promise to the farmers. So that's very, very important.
Okay, thank you very much, Femi. Quite insightful. At least we now understand basically what these challenges are. To me, I think I kind of get a couple of things. And in terms of funding, I think I can easily rush down to Ayo and said, Ayo, I need some level of fund to help me grow my agri-tech sector, or my agri-tech venture. So from that angle, I want to say thank you to all our panelists for that. Now let's go further a little bit. Now we've talked about the scope of agri-tech. We now understand it, the software, the hardware, the funding aspects, the challenges, and what have you. Now, let's now go into understanding the markets for agricultural technology business. Now, I'm going to ask you, Humphrey, the market is large, and you at Dizengoff, you play on a very large scales. You've traveled far and wide across several spheres of the country, the north, south, west, and east. You've seen it all, basically. Now, for those who want to play into that sector, probably as a newcomer, where exactly is the market? Meaning that, what should we look at, as factors before we now even say, I want to venture into this type of agriculture? Let me give you an instance. For example, for us as corporate farmers, what we did last year was that we saw a gap between agriculture and education. So we solved the problem by creating an edutech and agri-tech solution, like a one-stop solution, that brings agriculture and education together in one small shop, like an agri-hub. There are several challenges like that. So from your own point of view, what is the market? What advice would you give our participants to say, okay, this is a market you can solve a problem within? So the question goes to you, Humphrey. Help us look at these markets in scatters and say, okay, our venture, our guest, this is a market you can venture into. This is an opportunity or a market you can actually venture into within the agri-tech space. Over to you, Humphrey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alabi. Quickly, again, it's a good thing to look at. First and foremost, when you say looking at the needs, first and foremost, to identify those needs. When you identify those needs, it's easier for you to then begin to look at what solution. For example, I'll give you an instance for us at Dizengoff. What we looked at is the period and process of taking your vegetables to the market. So farmers go through the challenges of production. Eventually, when they harvest, now taking it to the market becomes an issue, because one, distance from the farm to the market, sometimes huge, bad road, and all of that. So what we have done is to say, for example, is bring this farm close to the market. And one technology to do that is to say, using a greenhouse technology, for example. A greenhouse technology enables you to grow close to the market. So in other words, I don't have to go down to the farm, to the several kilometers where my farm is, because I need to harvest and then bring it. But when I have a piece of land as small as 400 square meters, I can install a greenhouse on that land, which is accessible because of urbanization. You can have so much land to farm because of houses and all of that development and what have you. But right now, with a small piece of land of about approximately 200 to 400 square meters, you can install a greenhouse, which will enable you to produce your vegetables and move them straight to the market. So you see, you live in an urban area, you live in a city, for example, where you just have a half a plot, one plot, and then you install your greenhouse, and then you're able to produce all year round and take to the market, than going several kilometers to your farm in the about 30 kilometers, and then you have to harvest. Sometimes you don't have means of transportation to bring it down to the market, and sometimes you then go through perishable them experience perishable fruit because you can't sell them. But having said that, first and foremost is to identify the needs. When you identify these needs, okay, so I want to go into end-to-end agric management. I want to go from land preparation to production to cultivation, production, and then I move on to marketing. And then I look at the end to end, what technology can I develop? What technology can I come up with to help either of this, any of this value chain in terms of end-to-end management? Okay, I want to provide solution in the area of pest management. What technology can I give? Arikawe talked about what they do. Femi talked about what they do in terms of drone services. You can spray insecticides using drones. There are drones today that enables you spray insecticide in your farm.
Yes.
These are technologies that he has identified a need in terms of how will I help this farmer spray insecticide, for example, or pesticide, for example, on this land, on a 20 acres of land, 20 hectares of land in this short period, as against the man carrying sprayers and is doing multiple tasks and is going around it over and over and again. So what do I do? And so what Femi has looked at is to come up with a drone that will help farmers spray insecticide in this regards. So there are several ways. Again, you want to look at cooling device. How do I store this thing to ensure that there's cool? My fruits are able to move from farm to market.
Thank you, Humphrey. Humphrey, thank you. I think no, it's great. I've gotten something there. Now I want to, from what you just said. Now I'm gonna go to shift straight down to Ayo. Now Ayo, Humphrey has said something quite strategic. It means that you identify a problem, then you now use technology to provide solution to that problem. Now going to you, Ayo, I know basically that more. Your space, Tribe Agric, you try to close the gap, in terms of providing a solution or a technology platform that can help in financing agriculture, basically. Now, let's look at what Humphrey said, drilling down what the problem is and providing solutions for it. Now, for you, Ayo, based on your experience, working with several stakeholders in the agri sectors, who are those that have strategically worked with you as Tribe Agric and been able to provide solutions to in today's agric ecosystem? So what I'm saying in essence is that there are several problems, identified across board in the agri ecosystem. It's large. Humphrey has said some pesticide, we can provide for pesticide and all that. Now for Tribe Agric, who are those basically that will come to you and said, okay, Tribe Agric, these is our problems, in the agri sector. Help us provide solution to it. Who are those stakeholders? Who are those? Are they smallholder farmers? Are they commercial farmers? Are they the government? Who are those that you feel that yes, they can come to you and say, provide solution to us, Tribe Agric, so that we can further develop the agricultural sector and also the GDP of the agri sector as a whole. Over to you, Ayo, please.
Thanks so much, Akin, and then again, just a pleasure learning from everyone here. Quite remarkable insights. Our primary customers are definitely smallholder farmers. As Tribe, today we're working with a little over 200,000 across 21 states, and those are the people like we live for. So everyone in Tribe, all today about 2,000 of us sleep and wake up thinking about smallholder farmers and growing that number to 10 million within the next short time. So that's our one focus. But then amidst all of this, we have like critical stakeholders. So we like to think the value we propose to smallholder farmers are one, access to finance, two, access to insight and distribution, and three, access to markets. And we started out by providing access to finance through a crowdfunding platform, and just using this opportunity to shout out and thank everyone that was part of that process, of just enabling us to bring out the capital to bet on farmers. That, okay, we're going to bet on agriculture. So you have someone sitting somewhere in Lagos saying, Trevor Agric told me there's a farmer in Castina. I've never seen that farmer before, but I'm trusting Trevor Agric to take a bet on that farmer, and did that all the while. I missed through the challenges. So just thanks a lot to everyone for that. And so that's how we mobilize finance for those people. But then getting into last year, we had sort of post crowdfunding in April last year, and we began to work a lot more, like a lot of strategy partners to finance that. And a couple of these being like the government and commercial banks. So today we work with like the Central Bank of Nigeria and Ministry of Agriculture to channel billions of naira to farmers across the country. And it's helping them figure out how do you deploy effectively to smaller farmers. So we work on everything from capturing critical data around the farmer, providing a platform for the finance to pass through, providing a platform for monitoring, aggregating produce, and all of that. So those are keys, those are core government funders. But beyond even just the government coming into play, we also work with a couple of strategic partners who are still trying to impact how do we unlock for smaller farmers. So we work with people like, so recently we just partnered with like the USAID and the West African Trade and Investment Hub, to also channel financing to smaller farmers. So again, the goal is just really to how do we work with banks, commercial banks, development banks, donor agencies to see how can they rightly assess smallholder farmers, how can they rightly assess finance, how can they get smallholder farmers producing, how can they increase the income of smallholder farmers and different stuff like that. On the other end also is really just how do you, beyond the finance, of course, finance is very, very important, but then finance that's coming from inputs. So we're seeing ourselves work with key input providers, people like Value Seed for Seeds, people like FMN, Indorama, Tori, TAC Agro, just different fertilizer providers, seed providers, Silo for crop protection products, and just helping them figure out distribution and how this produce gets to farmers to ensure that the farmers have access to like the right quality inputs. Because which is the other twist about this market, and which provides an opportunity to anyone looking to invest in the space. Money doesn't always equal product availability, and doesn't always equal like the right quality product. So you have farmers out there who, they tell you the body product of the market, you go do a test and then you just find out like they got the wrong thing, regardless of the investment, and all of that is gone. So those are some of the products. We also help integrate a couple of people. So you have people trying to figure out things like weather solution for farmers, how can we get them right, how can we get farmers understanding humidity, understanding rain patterns, and then we leverage our tech platform to distribute that service to farmers. And then last, obviously on the sales end of things. So everyone is trying to figure out commodity, trying to figure out how can we get price. How can we buy things like maize? How can we buy rice all year? How can we buy things like groundnuts? So we work with processing facilities to be able to help them source from farmers, and we supply to almost everyone in the country right now. We also work together with the government, and again, the government is doing incredible in this case to be the strategic grain reserve, where they are aggregating things like maize and rice, so that as prices go up in the market, they can actually push those products in to stabilize prices. So we're working hand in hand with the central bank to be able to provide those sort of services. So those are critical stakeholders in our case, which will be people on the finance end, on the input end, and then obviously on the sales of produce.
Thank you very much, Ayo. Thank you. Quite insightful of what you're doing at Trevor Agric. Beautiful. Now, this question goes to you, Femi. Now, I'm going to bring it, in step-by-step hierarchy from what Humphrey said and to what Ayo said. Now, back to what the question I'm going to ask you now, Femi. Now, how, basically, do you identify your customers? Let me give you an instance. What I'm saying is this. For us as corporate farmers, we just designed a solution that speaks to basically students within the agri-tech sector, basically students. Now, the question is, we're able to identify young agripreneurs, to come on the portal, sign up, and they get, the solutions for use. Now, for the kind of service of what is available in the market, based on your experts, Femi, the drone pilots, the master strategists in drone analysis, mapping, and all that, how do you identify your customers? What are the things that you need to put in place to enable you identify your customers so that your work in the agri-tech space can be well appreciated. And also so that that creates more awareness for sectors, for players, and for those who are interested in going into the agri-tech space specifically and convert that into a business. So how do you identify your customers? The question is for you, Femi. Thank you.
All right. Our customers are the smallholder farmers, large, particularly. We're trying to adapt to smallholder farmers in particular, and but particularly the large-scale farmers that have hectares of land and that need information. For example, in service of mapping, drone mapping or area mapping, people want to know, have a detail of what's the slope of their land, what's the elevation. They want to have feed boundaries. They want to have an holistic view of the field through auto mosaic images, on demand, and a lot of data analysis, plant counts, and a lot of things that we can do, drone data analytics that we can do with drones. So because of these services that we provide, we know where to go, we know who to talk, and those who need our services are also locating us because it is something they really want. Another example is this pesticide or sprayer drone. You know, that is, I can say from my estimation as a farmer myself, I can say from the cost of labor you put into labor on your farm or the time, about 70% goes into application of agrochemicals. Agrochemicals in forms of fertilizer, in forms of pesticide like insecticide or herbicide. So you always try to protect your plant. You always try to protect your crop. So these are fundamental. They are what the farmers need. So we let them know this is what we can do. Oh, if you've been spraying your rice for 1 hectare, 3 persons spraying 1 hectare in a day, I can tell you that drone can help you spray it just in a matter of minutes. So let's talk. You know, that's because of the prospect it gives, because of the efficiency it brings. So they are we can be able to attract them, and we are also demonstrating to them to be able to prove to them the benefit of this technology in terms of data gathering and in terms of attrition of work. And when I mean attrition, I mean dispersion, spreading of fertilizer, or spraying of fertilizer or any other agrochemicals. So that's the way we locate our customers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Femi. No, that is good. That is good. So you've actually taught us how best we can actually locate our clients based on the work you do, which also applies to Humphrey and Ayo at a different workspace. Now we're going to another discussion. Basically, now this now depends. This now is going to be a little bit deeper, because I'm sure that a lot of us are listening, you know, the participants that are listening to us basically. And the questions that is going to their mind is, how do I actually start up an agri-tech company? Well, what do I need to do to start up an agri-tech company? I remember I was in a session a couple of weeks back specifically. And, you know, one of the things I said in that session was, look, it's that time we begin to create an agri-tech hubs that will bring, you know, innovative minds together and develop solutions that will solve challenges and problems within the agri ecosystem. Now, I'm going to throw this question basically to Ayo to start with. Now, what are the key factors, or what do we need to look at, basically as young agripreneurs, or probably those who are ready to invest in the agri-tech space? What do I need to do to run or to have a successful agri-tech business? You know, as I said, technology in agriculture doesn't have to be expensive to be effective. Okay, it doesn't have to be expensive. So what do I need to do? What are the key things I need to quickly look at to set up or to commence an agri-tech business today in Nigeria? Over to you, Ayo, please.
Thanks, Akin. I think I like to say the answer just starts. So a lot of times, there are different stages of growth, so like requires different kind of structure, right? So at the point when you're just starting out early, the question is really just start, and then figure things out on the way. So I'll say, for instance, you're trying to figure out how do I support farmers, right? Get on the field, figure out what are the challenges they have. Farmer needs access to mapping. Is that something you can provide with a smartphone and begin to charge for it? farmer needs access to inputs. Can you put them together? Can you get somebody who has those inputs and then sort of like do that matching supply, right? So I always say there's definitely the space for there's a lot of content online. I know Akin Alabi with corporate farmers offer like tons of service on educating people out to that. So that's also a program you can sign up for. You can sign up for that. I mean, go on YouTube, try to read up different stuffs. But then also just really start. Like that's really the first step. Because a lot of times you want to just have everything figured out. Oh, I want to finish registration. I want to raise money for this. I want to rent an office. I think for like the first year, I mean, when we started out on Thrive, and I'm just sharing this just in case it's inspiring someone. I and my co-founder were on the phone. He was in Benue and I was in Lagos. And then just on that conversation, we designed the logo on that conversation. We designed the website on that conversation. Like literally, this is in a space of like less than 12 hours and just literally just went live. Of course, those things have evolved over time. The logo has changed, the website has changed. But then the question is, we didn't wait to have everything together. Even for the first 1 year on Thrive, Thrive literally ran on WordPress. And a lot of people are surprised. Most people are like, oh, I want to build an Android app, then build an iPhone app. Then I want to outsource to one developer in Israel that is charging me $50,000. So, but the thing is like to test the market and to know that people really want the advice you have, to know that the service you want to offer can be bought. The first way is to think about what's the minimal thing you can start with, right? And to be honest, that minimum thing today is really your smartphone. Just take your smartphone and get on the field, right? Figure out what challenges people have, what resources do they need. And you would see that when you go to speak to someone, and someone says, oh, the question they always ask is not what's your idea, it's what have you done, right? You need to be able to say, oh, I was in Ocean last week, I work with these 50 farmers, I help them to map their land, I help them to do this and that. And then the person's like, oh, okay, that's exciting, how can we expand this, right? But you imagine going to somebody, Humphrey is wearing a suit, so I'm sure he has like millions of naira to give out. And imagine you pitch your idea to Humphrey, and then Humphrey asks you, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I have this fancy idea. I just need like $20,000 to build an app. It's just like it takes it as a joke, right? But when you go to him and you say, oh, I've worked with like these 10 farmers and I help them to source seeds, and now for the next season I want to help them to source fertilizer. Can you loan me 500,000? And then he's looking at you like, okay, this guy has done some work. I can see some traction. I can see some proof. So that's it. That's my advice. And then of course, as you begin to expand, you can begin to say things like, oh, okay, how do I begin to put structure? How can I firm up the registration? How can I get people on my board? Then I wanted accounts. Am I doing my bookkeeping? And the central bank, for instance, is very, very open to financing people in agriculture today. And of course, just prove yourself, do it for 6 months, have records, have transaction history. And then you get out of finance. And beyond central bank, there are different people who are looking to finance. Well, trust me, they're very fundable business. There are people that are looking to come financing into agriculture. The West African Trade and Investment, or who we recently work with, they have an open call for application and they're willing to finance businesses, right? But you see, nobody's going to finance ideas. So you need to, but they don't finance businesses. And businesses doesn't need to mean you have raised money. Just go somewhere and do some transactions. Do a few things. It doesn't need to be significant. It can be that I sold one bag of pepper worth 5,000 naira and I did it for 2 months, right? It's people know that you know the business. They know that you've been in the market, you've been in the space. So for me, that would be key. Just start.
Thank you. No, great, Ayo. Great, beautiful feedback there. Now, the next question actually goes to you, Humphrey. Now, what Ayo said just start. Just start. That's what he said. So it means that if you have that idea, try as much as possible to convert that into a business and just start. Now, when you start, Humphrey, and based on your field experience, what are the risks associated with just start? When you start, yes. So what are the risks that we should look into when you just start? Even as a young player in the agri-tech industry, what are the risks that surround the agri-tech industry as a whole? There are a lot of things that, probably has been identified in our discussion. But from you specifically, and basically from your vast knowledge and field experience, what are the risks that we should look at when you just start, based on Ayo's feedback, please?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alabi. Again, if you begin to do what we're being taught in business school, you want to ensure that there's a business plan, there's this, and if you keep doing all of that, perhaps sometimes you may not be able to kick off. Just like Mr. Arikawe shared, it took them within 12 hours to come up with a logo and all of that. But if you start thinking it too much, they say in business school, you need to come up with a business plan. You come up with the target audience. You will never start. So what I would say is start from where you are. Start from where you are. And starting from where you are is starting with what you have. So what you have. Now, we talked about identifying those needs. I want to go into the Agritech business. I want to provide solution. I want to do this. I've identified a need. And so in identifying this need or identifying these needs, I want to take it bit by bit. I want to provide this solution. So the reality, yes, like Mr. Arikawe mentioned earlier, for you to approach the banks or the financial institutions, for you to get facility to run your business, you must come up with, in terms of reality, you must face reality, and you must come up with practical to show them, this is what I've done over the years. And you cannot show them what you've done over the years if you've not started somewhere. Mr. Akin Alabi, we've done some things together. He started with a teething problem, so you won't know what the risks are. You won't know what the risks will be if you don't start. You may factor it all in. You may factor it all in your head and say, okay, we'll go to the field. We'll tell the farmers. We'll speak the grammar. We'll tell them all the details. We want to help you make 20 million in 1 year. And then they say, do you think they will clap for you? No, they won't clap for you. What they are interested in, what can you give me now? And so you start from where you are. Okay, you have 20 bags. Your issue is moving those things from your farm to, or having access to market. I will help you create market. Like Femi has mentioned at some point, and Arikawe also alluded to that, is even your phone device. So long you'll be able to start from where you are. You have gone to the market. You've asked those off-takers or potential customers, okay, how many kg of tomato do you want? I can be supplying every 2 weeks, for example. You have all their contact, all their details. You get to the farmer, I can help you with this. You've used your device to communicate, your technology to communicate with these off-takers. So start from where you are. What I have right now is my device. How do I use that to engage both the producer and, of course, the off-takers? So the risks there, you will not know until you get into it. When you get into the business, you begin to see other opportunities, because what those risks will bring to you is open your eye or expose you to other opportunities. So yes, there are risks in every business, but if you don't take that bold step, starting from where you are with what you have, forgetting about, and then you begin to move and then begin to say, financial institution, I have this idea, I have done 1, 2, 3. Because of your past practical experience and your reality, I can do 3, 3, 4, 4. Can I get finance to move on? Because I've seen other challenges. However, the risk there is, if you go approach a financial institution or approach someone like Mr. Alabi, who is also wearing a suit, to say, please, I need 20 million or I need XYZ amounts to kick off this business. It is definitely going to be difficult when you're giving him idea of something you have not tried before. So the risk there will be, if you have not tried this and then you're going ahead to say, I want to start from A to B or A to Z, then it will be difficult. So there will be risks you will not know until you commence this technology business in agriculture.
Thank you, Humphrey. Beautiful one there. So I'm going to go to you now, Femi. Now I'm going to take it step by step again. Now, Ayo said, just start. Humphrey has taken us what you need to do in terms of risk assessment in starting. Now, Femi, what skill do I require to start up or to set up an Agritech innovative platform? What specific skill do I need? Do I need to go to Lagos Business School and start something? Do I need to travel, just like you have traveled to Europe and other African countries on your own services?
Oh, I think we lost Akin for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Femi, do you want to jump on the question quickly?
Okay. I would say first, you are into the business to solve problems. So it's first your ability, the skill you have to solve the problem. So that's the first skill. I don't know. Maybe you're coding software, trying to connect. You know, maybe it's your drone piloting skill. Maybe it's your knowledge of agronomic skill that you have. Maybe it's what sort of skills that you have. That is first what you need. Then you can then begin to talk about business skill, putting your books together, putting your marketing skill, which is also very important. I mean, but when you have the skill, the technical skill to be able to offer to the farmers, okay, and I've also mentioned these skills, then you can be bold to mention it to the farmers. Okay, this is what I do, and that is marketing. Just trying to seek your audience, your agricultural stakeholders, either farmers, either government, cooperative bodies, and the like. But they have to be able to see that, oh, you can do this thing and you can deliver it. So when you have that, I think I've mentioned the technical skill you need. You also need a marketing skill. You must be able to open your mouth and market your service. If you do not market it, who will know? If you do not communicate it, nobody will know. So you need to open your mouth to share to people that this is what I do and this is the benefits that you're going to get from it. Then we can then talk around business skills, like Humphrey has mentioned, business school and the like. So putting your books together and structure business development and the like. So those are the skills that I think an entrepreneur in that art space needs to start. And I think I need to also mention around what Ayo has also mentioned. He also mentioned them doing things, just starting and putting their thoughts together. But as they go ahead, they are sharpening their skill and also improving their product or their services. I think that's what I would say to answer this question.
All right, thanks, Femi, for that.
Mr. Akin is yet to be back.
Yeah. So I mean, we're just adding to what Femi had said. I mean, one of the things we can definitely is look at the power of aggregation, right? So Femi today, for instance, as drones, and I mean, to be able to deliver his drone to you, I don't know what the minimum hectare of land is. You probably need maybe like 5 to 10, right? So imagine you coming to Femi and say, oh, I will go into Osun State and I will go and put together all these farmers with their 0.3, 0.4, put them together and get 10 hectares. And when I get 10 hectares, you pay me 200 naira for every service, for everyone I open up to. And that's an opportunity. That's a good way to start. So I mean, just as I said, people's skills, putting your business skills together, that would be useful. All right, I can please go on. I think we're pretty much done.
My apologies, the internet just went off. I'm back. Yeah, so apologies. So I was asking Femi some questions. Apologies, the internet just went off, triggered off, and now I'm back. What skill basically? Oh, Femi, oh, beautiful, fantastic. You know, from Femi's response, you know, going back to Ayo now, and I'm sure that in terms of skill, let me give you an instance for myself. Now, I've been in the industry for the past 20 years. Some people will be shocked, like, really, 20 years? Yes. I've been in the sector for the past 20 years. And basically, we started with just a blog, meaning that we started writing corporatefarmers.blogspot.com 20 years ago, bringing in articles, you know, far and wide, African countries, you know, different countries, you know, on that blogspot. That was how we started. There was no pre-skill we had it. No, not that we went to a school to teach us all about agriculture, but we started using the blogspot to learn about the industry, what the government is saying, how it's been done in other African countries, other EU, other Asian countries. That was all we started. Then this also, over the years, transformed into a company, bringing in several ideas and all that. So from our own experience, we never had a pre-skill. But over the years, our skill developed all through the years. Today, we have virtually all the staffs we have currently on working with us are graduates of agriculture in different fields, either mechanical engineering, extension services, and the like. So we have them like that. That is what we've done. So, but we didn't majorly embark on that skill. But over the years, the skill grew with us. So what I'm just saying in essence to those who are listening to us, that you probably may not have the essential skill, but you need to do what Ayo has said in the beginning. Just start, then look at the risk, and also follow what Femi said in terms of skill in setting up an agri-tech sector. Now, let's now go into the other angle of agri-tech in our discussion today, meaning investing in an agri-tech business. Now, starting from you, Humphrey, I know you've done a lot in the agri-tech space. You've done quite a lot, from days of Disengov, and you've had experiences with several partners or companies you're working with, both private sector, government sector, and all that. Now, basically, for those who want to set up an agri-tech sector and in industry, or want to go up an agri-tech solution, they'll be looking at investment here and there. Investments, I've set up something, but I need investment to help me grow further. I know I was reading, I think it's possible, an article a couple of weeks ago, and I saw that Tribe Agric just had a couple of investments. Correct me if I'm wrong. I read an article that talked about you guys had an injection of fund into your company, like an investment fund into your company, which automatically means that you are building the company capital structure to another level. Now, in terms of investing in agri-tech company, who are those that we feel that are the front runners? Who are those who feel that we should speak to, or who are those who feel that will be interested in investing into agri-tech solutions or platform? Is it the government sector? Is it the private sector? Or should it be PPP? Both private and public sector. So who are those that should be responsible in investing critically to build our agri-tech platform today in Nigeria? Humphrey, please.
Okay, so Mr. Alabi, you've mentioned, in fact, you mentioned all those that are involved, that are required to play in this field, when it comes to investments, because the risks the risks involved in terms of to investor also need to consider the fact that technology is also huge, the investment is huge. So when you talk of investment cost, it is really huge. To come up with a certain solution, you have to be talking to certain experts, and for them to come up with this solution that will help farmers improve in their production. Then you're talking of like Arikawe mentioned at some point, or Femi mentioned at some point, you'll be talking to some guys in Israel to come up with some solution, or you're talking to some with guys in maybe here in Nigeria to help you come up with this solution. And it is sometimes, most times, financially huge in terms of the investments will be huge. So bringing players in these, those that will help drive these. First and foremost, it involves every aspect in terms of talking to government. How do we, if for example, we're looking at the benefits that they would derive from it. Government has banned the importation of rice, for example. How do we empower our rice farmers to do well, deploying technology to what they do, to their operations? For example, in some farms, you'll be shocked that what they do to chase away birds is they hire people that will sit in that farm, and then they run around during the day to chase away birds to ensure that they don't destroy the entire rice farm. But there are drones that you can deploy that will help you chase away these birds. But is the average farmer able to afford this solution? He feels that the little money I spend, even though on the long run, he will spend more, but he feels like if I get 20 people to sit in my farm every day, in 1 month I'll pay them XYZ amount. They'll be chasing away birds. Looking at the manpower, look at the efficiency, and then looking at the cost involved. It requires all and sundry in terms of government. So government has banned importation of rice. What are they doing to empower farmers? So they also need to play in this field by providing solution, by providing funding. Providing funding to help provide solutions that will help these farmers, that will improve in their product, help them improve their production. So you also need to talk to private sectors because they also will benefit. So if you look at it, okay, I'm a farmer, so let's do some PPA arrangement. Government provide this solution for me, and I'm going to sell back whatever I'm able to produce at a very reduced price for the next 3 seasons or for the next 2 seasons because they've given me this solution at no cost. And so for them to benefit as government is that I will sell back to government, who will in turn sell to the public or sell to the consumer at XYZ amount. So it involves both government, both the private sector, and of course, it can be a PP arrangement. So it requires everybody to play in that field, both governments, both private sector, and of course, it can then be a PP arrangement between government and these individual farmers, as it were.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. Beautiful one there. I think you've said it all, basically, in terms of who should be responsible in terms of funding the Agritech platforms, or who should we meet, to fund Agritech solutions? It's PPP, private sector, government, and also even us as individuals can also take that bold step, to start something as a private sector or an entrepreneur or an agripreneur to begin something, fund a little initiative. Then from there, it attracts, other funds from different aspects of both private sector and also government sector. So we're going to take a short break now before we now venture or move into the question and answer session. So guys, be ready. There are questions coming up so that we can actually ask you what our participants are asking, what they want to know in terms of a Q&A. So we're going to take a very short break now, and we'll come back to the question and answer session. So technical team. All right, welcome back. My name still remains Akin Alabi, and we have our wonderful panelists here, Femi, Humphrey, and Ayo. So can the questions be displayed so that we can actually have those questions so that we can ask our panelists? Great. We have a question here. I think this is from Frank Eze. Frank Eze. He's asking, so this question actually goes to Humphrey. He said, what tech? So it means that what techs is available? No, he said, what tech is available? It's kind of mixed up here. What tech is available there to process perishable agro producers, add value, and to minimize losses on produce, like converting tomato fruit to tomato pastas or powder. So he's asking, what are technology solutions available in terms of processes to reduce post-harvest losses? I think that's the summary of the question he's asking. So Humphrey, what are the solutions or technology platforms available for that purpose? Thank you very much, Humphrey. So Frank Eze, let's have an answer to that.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Just a quick one to your question in terms of post-harvest losses in terms of what farmer experiences. They experience every harvest time. There are several things some individual farmers are doing in terms of ensuring that they don't incur so much post-harvest loss. Some of them, after processing what they do, after selling and they're not able to sell, what is that? They do the regular sun drying and all of that. However, that is not technology. In terms of what technology they can use, we begin to have, in terms of the market, I've seen in the north, a fabricated processing machine that helps convert your tomatoes or your perishable vegetables into juice. I have seen that somewhere in the north. I was somewhere in Bauchi. That was in 2018. And of course, that's what they did was converting those vegetables into juice. Some of them are converting it into, they process it and keep it as a paste. So that way people you can use it afterwards in terms of, but we don't have much of it here in Nigeria. So we can begin to talk to organizations in terms of bringing this technology here to Nigeria. And of course, the guys in tech, how they can convert, what solution we can use in terms of converting this. But we have them in Nigeria. I've seen one in Jos, and of course the maybe it's what to mention, the Dangote farm in Kano, and of course processing center in Kano. What they want to do is move, ensure that there's no losses, so they allow farmers to bring in their produce and they buy off these farmers, both on a personal arrangement in terms of PP, they give them the seed and all of that, but they also have extension farmers in the neighboring environment surrounding that brings in their fruits and they buy off them for processing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Humphrey. Beautiful feedback there from that question asked. Now, this question, I'm going to ask Ayo this question. Though the guys mentioned Humphrey, but I'm going to ask Ayo, because Ayo has traveled far and large across, with Tribe Agric to meet with farmers, smallholder farmers. So what this next question is saying that what is the possibility of succeeding with a small farmland in a city that might be highly costly to obtain, running on a costly land as opposed to a far distance farm? So what he's saying basically in summary is that what is the chance of success, okay, in a farmland that is within the city, okay, based on what is obtainable, than running a costly land whereby you there's no chance of obtaining a success within that. So what should the person do? What exactly should you do when you have those two differentiations, either on a small farmland or a farmland that is quite expensive and all that? What exactly should the person do in that instance, based on the fact that you've worked with smallholder farmers, as one of Tribe Agric major heads?
Yeah, thanks again for that. My assumption, if I try to repeat the question, would be, say for instance, is it better having a farm in somewhere like right in the middle of Lagos,
exactly,
maybe where you're growing vegetables, right, as opposed to having the farm somewhere in Oyo State, where you have to buy the vegetables then ship to Lagos.
Exactly.
To be honest, I feel like the factors might vary depending on the produce. So you really have to do the math. If you're planting vegetables and you have access to labor that is affordable, and it's a small piece of land, and your market is somewhere beside you, someone who can easily buy off from you, and the cost of land I'm not sure what the cost of land could look like, but you'd have to do the math there. Then maybe that makes sense to do it on like a small piece of land. Because if you're going to have a farm somewhere in Oyo and you're harvesting maybe every month or every 2 months, then obviously you need to be there, and you have to do like at a larger scale. You can't just do one. You can't do something like 0.5 plot or 0.5 acres. Might not be what's going all the way to Oyo. So I guess it still depends, right? It depends on what exactly are you planting and who do you want to sell to. In both locations, do you have experts? Do you have people who are managing it, who can manage it for you, or can you be present in both locations, both in terms of planting, harvesting, and sales? So I don't think there's a blanket answer to that. You'd have to put that. This is not one of the things you actually have to put on a financial model and check your cost and say, okay, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense.
Thank you very much, Aya. Now, there's another.
You want to allow me, Mr. Alabi?
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, go on.
Because the question was directed to me earlier, and I noticed that it could be based on what I said in terms of having a greenhouse in the city as against having a large farm in the somewhere in Oyo or somewhere in Ekpe. I'm just playing with terms, but again, we need to consider, because having a small land, the reason I mentioned that was you can install a greenhouse there. And what this will do to you or do for you is that it gives you the opportunity to produce quality vegetable. It gives you the opportunity to have, in terms of transportation, you reduce your costs. Also, you also need to consider the fact that you will be producing all year round. So as again, in terms of one other issue farmers face, or people who are into production in terms of farming, what they face is having people work in their farm and steal from them. So pre-freeing is one major issue. If you're not there, I've seen that firsthand. Immediately the owner of the business steps out, the farm hands working there, because they know Oga will not come until 2 days or time. And when he comes in that 2 days, 3 days time, they've sold virtually 50% of what they have produced, and then they say, "Oh, God, this is what we have," and also he can't be going to the farm. He can't be going to. He's saying every two days or 3 days, cost of transportation and all of that. So when you bring it close to the town, you are able to see your production. You're able to visit your farm, as it were, on a daily basis. So that takes away in terms of transportation and in terms of preferring in terms of farm hands. Again, in terms of production, you're able to do all year round because the greenhouse affords you the opportunity to grow all year round. In terms of the quality of what you're growing, you need small space to produce as much as possible as against what you produce in the hectares of land. So just want to chip in. Sorry to just want to
No,
chip
no,
in
it's
that.
fine. Thank you for that brief, good explanation. And I'm sure that the participants will have actually get what exactly they say. Now, this question again goes back to Ayo. No, I'm still going to also ask some questions. Femi needs to give his feedback also on this question. Now, the person from, his name is Ukechukwu Eze. Uchechukwu Eze. Now, he's saying,
Right.
Ayo, can Thrive Agric run hackathons that will give intending tech entrepreneurs access to priority problems to build tech to solve? We need to build solutions where there is existing demand. So that question is for you, Ayo. It's all about hackathon. So what is Thrive Agric doing basically in regards to that?
So I think last year we started a program called Sprouts, and what we'll do is just entrepreneurs within Abuja can come, learn, connect with us, and then just figure out what to do, I guess, to contribute to the ecosystem. We sort of put on pause considering COVID and everything, but I think that's good feedback. As a thought leader in the ecosystem, maybe that's something we can start and just allow people to come build. Because they're definitely like lots and lots of challenges. I like to say it's very early days in agriculture, and none of us has really made a big enough dent. So I think there's an opportunity, and I will take that as good feedback, and I would share with the team. And then just as we think through, and of course, working with other stakeholders here like Akin and Humphrey and Femi, I'm sure we can definitely come up with something to benefit like the larger ecosystem.
Okay, thank you very much. So Femi, there's a specific question here for you, Femi. So Kasumu Johnson is saying that what is the cost effectiveness of using drone to spray farm chemical? What is the cost effectiveness of using drone to spray farm chemicals? Femi, that is for you, please.
Okay, I would answer the question this way. I think the person might be considering either buying a drone or getting the service of service providers, drone service providers. If you want to look at it from the context of buying a drone, you may not be able to get your ROI. If you're a smallholder farmer, you may not be able to get, but depending on the scale of your production, it then gives a case of saying, okay, you can buy your own spray. But there's another option of employing the service of drone service providers, and the cost effectiveness is very, very wide in the sense that let's say that you averagely you need three men to spray an hectare of land, 3 able men to spray an hectare of land of rice. Okay, and they are going to do this for a whole working day to do it effectively. So how much are you going to pay for this individual guys that are helping you to spray? Say about you're going to be paying them say 2,000 or 2,500 in a day times 3. So that's about 6,000 or between 6,000 to 9,000. And the drone service provider is telling you, I'm going to help you do this for just 3,000 and within minutes. That means it can help you cover a lot of land within a limited time. And you can be able to use that time, to do other things and to be able to plan. So that's the cost effectiveness in terms of cost, in terms of time efficiency, in terms of use case, because it will also, with drone service, spraying with drones, you will be able to use less water and even about 30% less chemical, depending on what you are spraying. But most of the time, there's a lesser use of chemical with the aid of drones and a faster expedition of the task. So if you put that together, you may not be able to quantify all of the benefits that I've also mentioned, but in terms of cost, maybe the cost of labor, the cost of application, it is on point. All right, it is on point. and also the cost of the externalities. There's all externalities in terms of time, in terms of, and also let's talk about the exposure to hazard that you put yourself in when you spray, use a knapsack sprayer to spray, or even a boom sprayer. Somebody is exposed to this chemical. But with the use of drone, you can be able to stand at the feed boundary and be operating your drones autonomously, as a matter of fact, autonomously. So that also takes away the cost of the externality from the challenge, the exposure to hazardous chemicals that you are using on the farm. So putting that into cost, that is very, very great.
Thank you very much, Femi. That is a brilliant one. I don't know from our technical team, are there more questions for our panelists to give answers to? Any last questions before we call it a wrap? Technical team, please. Any more questions from your side? Okay, so while we keep, okay, no more questions. Beautiful. No more questions. So it's about time now we actually call the session a wrap. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to the entire panelists. In as much as we would love to have you here for continued discussions, I'm sure each of you still have personal things you need to quickly read, to do, and problems to solve in our various fields in the agri-tech space. I want to say thank you very much. We all have learned from your expertise and what you bring on the table. And to this end, I want to say thank you very much for everyone that joined us for this session on the Business of Agriculture Masterclass. My name once again is Akin Alabi. I'm an author and also the co-founder at Corporate Farmers International. I want to say thank you to the technical team for giving us a fantastic, clear audience for this session. It's been an awesome time with everybody, and also to those that listen to us and those that actually take their time to learn from our panelists. And also to want to say, we believe deep down in our hearts that our nation, Nigeria, will definitely grow. And the agri sector, I keep telling people, agriculture is the only sector that can help build and also create jobs for millions of youth out there. So to this end, I want to say thank you for the organizers. Thank you to the participants, and a special thank you to our panelists that have been here today. Thank you, and bye-bye for now. See you some other time. Bye-bye.
There's a story to be told, a future to behold. There is more to who we are than what they hear. We have love within our soul, fire in our bones. We've got everything it takes to make it here. There's much more within our soil, more than just our oil. We can grow the food